Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Fried Plantain, and today we're going to be taking a look at the latest Legion of Skanks podcast. On this podcast, Big J Oakerson talks about Naeem Lynn's latest comments about Big J's relationship with Kevin Hart. Now, this has been doing the rounds, it's been going maybe somewhat viral. And basically, Naeem Lynn said on a separate podcast that Big J essentially hates Kevin Hart.
You know, me and Big J, we kind of like started off with Kev, I still work with Kev. Big J, I don't think Big J still hates Kevin.
He hates Kevin?
He hates him. He won't say it, he fucking hates him. I know he hates him.
Why does he hate
He's always hated him.
Oh, he's always hated
He's
Jay
always
what?
hated Kev.
Back to Philly, he didn't like him.
He's always hated Kev. Keith Robinson was their mentor, and Keith got them when they were early in the game, said, come to New York, and Kev kept going, and Jay was like, I'm not going up there to fucking sit around and not get on stage. You know, right. Especially if it's your only job, it starts to become expensive. You know, you got to get paid a train or the toll if you drive and all of that. And when Kev started to succeed, he was just like talking shit about him. Not even fucking funny, just short and black. You know, you say shit like that.
Now, some of you guys might not know, but Big J Oakerson and Kevin Hart essentially grew up together in terms of comedy. When they both were in their early 20s, they were literally doing comedy at the same time, going to the same comedy clubs, doing the same shows. And if I remember correctly, at one point in time, Kevin Hart was struggling financially. He couldn't pay the rent, he couldn't pay basic bills. So Big J Oakerson was actually paying Kevin Hart's bills. Would you believe it? Now, if we look at Big J today, Big J's a fairly successful comedian, pretty successful comedian. He has his own little thing with the Legion of Skanks. So Big J Oakerson is doing his thing. He's very successful. But of course, if you compare him to Kevin Hart has exploded in popularity. The guy is very much on his way to becoming a billionaire. He may already be a billionaire. Who knows? Very, very successful comedian. I believe he has the LOL network or something like that, the LOL network. And of course, he has the Plastic Cop Boys. And of course, he has multiple shows on Netflix. He just came out with a new show, a new like stand-up show on Netflix. So yeah, there is a bit of a contrast between Big J Oakerson and Kevin Hart. So Naeem Lynn is basically saying that Big J is, he's a hater. Maybe he's a bit jealous. And so yeah, we're going to be taking a look at that. But before we do that, we're going to actually just watch a few videos to kind of explore, to kind of see what Big J's relationship with Kevin Hart was really about. Because to be honest, I don't know much about it myself. I've heard bits and bobs over the years, but we're going to try to delve into, their relationship. Then we're going to check out the Legion of Skanks podcast. And then, yeah, basically that's it. If it's your first time on this channel, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could tap that like button, comment below, and subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's go. So here's a video I stumbled upon during my research for this video. And here you have Kevin talking about Big J Oakerson. Because a lot of people don't really think that Kevin Hart and Big J Oakerson were friends. But this video is going to prove that they were friends and they, had a pretty deep relationship.
Big J Oakerson. It's a comedian friend of mine from Philadelphia that I started out with. And Big J went through this period where he was interested in swinging. It's a true story, hand on the Bible. And he convinced his girl to swing, right? He said, we should do it. And he wanted to do it because the other couple that he wanted to do it, the guy's like woman was, he said like she was great looking. Like I want to do it because I can get to her. Like it can be great. And I was like, dude, I said, you taking a gamble. I said, that's a lot. It's aggressive, right? It's not really my cup of tea, but I don't know how people live, and I don't knock what people do with their lives, because that's your life. Big J said they swung, and he watched this guy fuck the dog shit out of his leg. He said, he never bounced back from it. He never bounced back. He saw, I'm telling you, man, I don't know what your thinking is. If you get in there and somebody goddamn go double overtime on your lady, you may not bounce back from that. All right, so you need to think of it all. Motherfucker, think about the first step. You better think about 3, 4, and 5. You see a motherfucking sweat dripping from his head on your lady. Yeah, that's a lot.
I don't want to see
That's
that.
aggressive. Ain't no going back. So you need to ask yourself that.
Nah, but on some real shit though, like it's some advantages to height, right? Shaq was on the show, and Chan asked him a question about.
If you tell me he asked Shaq about his dick, I'm walking.
No.
Okay.
It was about 69.
All right.
Like, can your big ass 69?
Because he can.
So, like, but I think on the opposite side of the spectrum,
What the fuck y'all doing
I
here?
like to
Nah,
ask
I'm
good
just saying.
questions. Like, we get through the good stuff. so
that's Chan.
yeah.
What's happening?
No, but this is the thing.
What the fuck? I don't know that's what this clip was about. Maybe I would have played it. I've never seen this clip in my life. Apparently Big J used to swing, and Kevin Hart knew the details intimately. So clearly this proves that Kevin Hart and Big J were close, very close, because you don't tell that to the average person. Many people wouldn't even tell their friends that. Wow, that's insane. That's the first time I've actually heard about this. Let me see what the comments are saying.
What challenges does your
Oh wow, man's looking at Big J. He was. Wow. So Big J was involved in like a cuckold situation or something like that. Is that what they call it? Cuckold or something? That's insane. Big J likes that. I do wonder if it was a black couple he was swinging with, because that would explain some things. What's happening?
I'm getting cooked.
So clearly that clip proves that Kevin Hart and Big J were very close. They were very close. They were sharing secrets and telling each other personal things, like very, very personal things, and just, they were buddies, like homeboys, essentially. Here's another podcast that Kevin Hart had back in the days. I think it was called Gold Mines with Kevin Hart. He actually sat down with Big J Oakerson. This was in 2024, so it's kind of recent. And even this surprised me. When I was doing my research, I was surprised to see this. So Kevin Hart and Big J legitimately were, or maybe still are, friends. I'm guessing they still are friends.
A lot of gold will be dropped in this episode because I'm not only talking to an amazing comedian, I'm talking to an amazing friend. I'm talking to a friend that's got such a great backdrop of my story and our stories that it is beyond, I gotta be honest, it's beyond funny to think about just our beginning stages in comedy, the craziness that we've been a part of, the comics that we have seen come through, and that we've grown to have amazing relationships with. Although our careers at one point, they went in two separate directions and two separate paths, I love that we both have found our own ways and are now navigating in spaces of our own and are finding success and pretty much defining our stance in this business as a real individual that deserves the title of comedian. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to Gold Mines Big J Oakerson. Oh my God.
What's
Big
up, buddy?
Fucking J. How are you, man?
I'm doing great, man. We do have such a hilarious history, and what's so funny about it is when we started off, like all the people like in the wake of your career that it's like people don't believe that they have these stories with you. Just like, down from like my cousins or people who I was friends with, and we'd go play basketball and play video games and shit. It's so funny. Like, if they tell somebody, they tell somebody that while they work at like, the mall still, and they're like, yeah, Kevin Hart came over to my house to play video games once. Like, all right.
Literally, we can go. I think there's so many different levels to the idea of story. Let me give people some context. First of all, guys, you may actually know the name Big J, not just for stand-up comedy, but Jay also co-hosts The Bonfire with Robert Kelly, another real funny comedian, which is on Sirius XM. His special, which I watched. That's right. I watched mainly because he yelled at me a little bit and forced me to, and I wasn't aware, but I fucking watched it. It's called Dog Belly. Guys, he released this
See, that's the interesting thing about Kevin Hart's relationship with Big J. It always seems like, without trying to be offensive or anything, it always feels like Kevin Hart is doing his own thing and like Big J's reaching out and trying to say, hey man, how about a helping hand? It's only when Big J does things like that that Kevin Hart reaches back. But, you know, if it wasn't for Big J actually initiating content, Kevin Hart wouldn't really do anything. I don't know why it's like that, but of course, you know, that's their relationship. Big J has talked about this in the past, you know, how he's the one who's picking up the phone and trying to initiate some kind of contact. But of course, Kevin Hart, very successful Hollywood guy, so I'm guessing he's always busy. Naturally, as people evolve and change, they develop new kind of ecosystems, new friends, you know, they make new friends. They keep new people around them, and I think that's essentially what happened with Kevin Hart. You know, Big J is like an old high. It's almost like he's an old high school friend. Maybe back in those days, due to proximity, you were very, very close. But as time goes on, you kind of drift away. It's a tale as old as time, as I stated earlier.
I think it was back in April, Jay, on YouTube.
Yeah.
Right in April.
Back in April.
That's the world of things that you can make yourself familiar with the amazing talent that he is. Now, when we talk about our story, you know, we both came up in the Philadelphia comedy scene, and you know, in the scene in the early stages, the amateur, I guess you could say, the amateur world of comedy in Philadelphia, it was one that was kind of cool because at the time, I think, Jay, it was you, myself, Touré, Buck Wild,
Kurt Metzger.
You know, who else did we have? We had Kurt Metzger. Shouts out to Kurt Metzger. Oh, my God. We can go
I know. Everybody breakout. Denny Live.
Brick out Denny Live. You can go to what's our guy? Was it Wiz?
The legendary Wid.
Oh God, what's his name?
The Wid.
Wid, yes. Wid. I mean, you had like Tommy Too Smooth back then in Philadelphia. We had Ronnie Long.
Michael Blackton,
you know,
was there,
Charles
so.
Walden, Michael Blackston, Charles Walden. So, you know, comedy in Philadelphia, it had a real personality.
And also where
it
we
had
did it.
some flair.
Also where we did it at the Laugh House, it was owned at one point by one of the DJs on Power 99. So it was an open mic technically, but it was sold out. And there was like a DJ, like we didn't understand the concept when we went to New York of what open mic actually is, performing in front of like 5 comics on a couch with a Mr. Microphone. We were doing shows that it was unbelievable. Like we didn't realize how good we had it in that scenario.
No.
Interesting, very, very interesting. The whole episode is like 1 hour, 5 minutes. So we're not gonna listen to the whole thing, but guys, I recommend you check it out. You can listen to it free on Spotify. Big J Oakerson, Gold Mines with Kevin Hart. I recommend you guys check it out in your own time.
Thankful for the nickname.
Let's talk about. Did you talk about Naeem Lynn?
Yeah, it's funny as what we just did right there. I said on the bonfire. I'm not going to give it much traction, but I'll say the thing I said was that just like Naeem's he's been working with Kev, arguably the biggest star in the fucking world. One of them.
He looks like a blind jazz singer.
He just, instead of hitting the foot pedal, he just hit a nail on the floor. And he just said he does have the face right now to be waving his head back and forth.
Yeah.
An entire performance.
So, Naeem and me, me and Naeem started comedy together back in Philly. He at one point, I believe, stopped doing comedy, and then Kev kind of brought him back in to open for him. And then they became the Plastic Cup Boys. I think they're all wealthy. Happy for them.
I think it's wealthy.
Wealthy. I always thought Naeem was funny when he did comedy before. I haven't seen him when he's been working for Kev, but like me and Naeem were never close for sure. In any way. Now, what's interesting about this clip is he says something that's about. He tells a thing that I didn't want to come to New York for a while, and so I kind of bailed on New York. what's going on about this is Naeem has been the person in Kev's crew who I think was like, gets a little lazy sometimes, as did I. Early on when I was coming to New York, I was like, this sucks.
Yeah.
Coming up here, and we're having fun hanging with Patrice and Colin Quinn. But I go, I'm not getting on stage at all.
Right.
And it's kind of like fucking late. So I would not come a lot. And then Keith at one point, I think, told Kev, hey, I'm going to stop pulling for Jay because, he's not putting the effort in.
So apparently, Big J's basically saying that Naeem is chatting a whole load of bollocks. By bollocks, I mean a whole load of shizer. By shizer, I mean a whole load of shit. So yeah, I mean, Naeem Lynn has been with Kevin Hart for many, many years. I've seen him many times over the years in podcast episodes, in like little skits and stuff like that. I remember early in the, maybe the 2010s, seeing Naeem Lynn. He was always with Kevin Hart. And I remember at one point in time, Naeem Lynn actually appeared on The Breakfast Club. Naeem Lynn basically said that Kevin Hart is not really pulling for him. Like, he said this back in the days. Apparently it was a big joke or misunderstanding, but Naeem Lynn essentially said, Kevin Hart isn't really pulling for us guys. He keeps us around. We help him write his jokes, but he's not really putting us on. I do remember him saying that on The Breakfast Club. Now, I'm not trying to cause any beef or bring up any old news. Apparently, it was all jokes. It was a one big misunderstanding, but I do remember that time. And of course, over the years, many people have wondered why Naeem Lynn hasn't really blown. You know what I mean? Because even if you look at Big J Oakerson, he's not super popular, but he does have his own thing and shtick with, the Legion of Skanks. He's a very prominent member of the Legion of Skanks. He's making money. He's making money from many different things, These guys have their audience, the white, skinny, alternative white boys. They love Legion of Skanks. They love all of that stuff. And, with Naeem Lynn, it just doesn't feel like Naeem Lynn really has that much out of the, Kevin Hart ecosystem. Objectively speaking, it doesn't really feel like Naeem Lynn has kind of carved out his own lane, if you know what I mean.
Ooh, I'm getting hot all over again.
It's a punching bag that's like looks like a real guy with his face.
Yeah.
He does knife moves on it.
You couldn't give me a little feature spot in Soul Plane?
No, there's like 3 extras in the back, and there's like samurai equipment next to it.
He's a Wing Chun dummy with his Kevin Hart's head.
Yeah, dude.
And every night before I go to bed, I do the Rocky, no doubt. So let's take that out of the mix of the problems here.
Always hated Kev.
Back to Philly, he didn't like him.
He's always hated Kev. Keith Robinson was their mentor, and Keith got them when they were early in the game, said, come to New York, and Kev kept going, and Jay was like, I'm not going up there to fucking sit around and not...
Jay, pause it. His face does look like he's disappointed with the choice.
I'm not going.
It does.
I'm not getting on stage. I don't want to go.
You look like they're asking you to get in the pool.
No.
I don't know.
I will not go.
I'm not doing it.
I mean, you could try to make me, but I won't.
Well, that's a picture from my individual Comedy Central 1 hour special.
and not get on stage. It's
Not going.
especially if it's your only job.
It's so rude they use that photo of you.
There's so much newer photos.
Yeah, that's
I'm fine with that. I don't mind it.
No, that was the best you looked as a fat guy.
At one point.
Yep.
Me and Kev went through the whole... Keith brought us up. We were driving to New York. And then when Kev talked to me about that thing, probably after a few months... or maybe even a year of going to New York, where I was kind of getting like lazy with it and not wanting to go. Then it was like at least a year or so of like us going up every fucking day. The amount of stories I have from
That
Kev.
was Jay's from Philly too. That was his getting jiggy with it, was getting lazy with it.
Me and Kev, we drove up to New York with Keith every day for years. And then what happened was he went to Montreal, he got a pilot with Judd Apatow. And then Judd Apatow the pilot didn't go, but he was going to start putting him on that show Undeclared. So Kev was like, oh, fuck it, I'm moving. He didn't move to New York. He moved to LA.
Based on this information, it does seem like back in those early days, maybe there was a little slight animosity. Not animosity, but maybe like a slight envy coming from Big J, which is natural. If your friend that you started out with is starting to get television shows and he's in LA and he's making moves and he's getting successful and he's on the phone saying, man, I'm out here, filming a new pilot and damn, I'm getting pissed off with all these execs telling me all of this and you're in your bloody your studio apartment and you're just pissed off, you're struggling to pay rent. It makes sense that Big J would feel some kind of way. So even though he's not really saying it out loud, it does feel like maybe in those early days, Big J was a little jealous. And when we think about it, jealousy is a human emotion. People like to act like, if you're jealous, that you're the most pathetic, useless person ever, but it's a normal emotion. Now, when you use that jealousy for destructive things instead of actually channeling that jealousy into creativity or whatever, that's when it becomes a problem. That's when it becomes a major issue. I don't believe Big J was really channeling that jealousy or envy into destructive things. He was from afar trying to support his friend Kevin Hart, but of course he was trying to focus on making it himself. You know what I mean? So yeah, very, very interesting indeed. Let's continue.
So
he just pulled the bed out of my couch. I get that. You can only be so happy until you're like,
right. So I started. So I wasn't pursuing
amount of
it.
success.
I'm
before
sleeping
you
on a
could be,
gutted couch, you motherfucker.
Dude, we all started getting success kind of like relatively around the same time to a certain degree. So you need
Almost 40.
You need a certain amount of success before you can be happy for your friends. That much more success.
Right. And almost I said that at the moment. I said before, it also made me realize, not that I was always proud for Kev, but I said I was living much more in envy. And then just simply, it wasn't even like a life-changing amount of money ultimately. I guess it was probably the time, but like the Comedy Central special, like it was a life-changing event.
Right.
And just getting that, because it was my only goal in comedy, was to have an hour special produced by something.
Right.
Like not me just doing it. I was like, I
right,
reached my
calm down.
goal. Yeah. But I was like, I reached my goal. So I was like, the only goal I had in comedy. So I was like, now I could just kind of go. It's like, Kev, you know what, dude? I was so bummed for you. Now all I could do is tell you about. It's like, you're in Pixar movies, dude. That's fucking crazy.
One of the best.
And we go up to the fucking desk, and Patrice is wandering around, and he kind of floats over to us, and they bring the 14 sneakers out.
Yeah.
And it's Kev pulling out his credit card or whatever, and he goes, "What did you do?" I go, "He's buying me. I don't want him to, but he's like buying me these sneakers because I said I liked them over there." He's like, "What?" And Patricia's yelling out in the store. He goes, "You gonna let another man buy you sneakers?" And I went, "No." And I left the store so he wouldn't buy them. And he didn't, thank God.
There's some kid trying to make a $5 commission on the sale, watching Patrice burn it.
Big J Oakerson, like I said, he's a very successful comedian in his own right. And obviously Kevin Hart is doing great things. Naeem Lin is doing great things. Hopefully, maybe one day they can all come together, sit down, over a couple of brewskis and some nice food and try and work out their differences. But I get the impression that there isn't a major beef or disagreement between Kevin Hart and Big J Oakerson. Obviously, there was some jealousy in the early days when Big J was still trying to make it, and maybe that's what Naeem Lin was able to detect, But yeah, very, very interesting indeed. Let me just leave it there. I hope you enjoyed this reaction. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you later.